welcome to another Make It Monday for Paper Tray Ink. This is Danelle Flanders, and today I want to talk about shadowing with Copic markers. So I will show you how I built my card first, and then show you the shadowing part as I get to that part. First, I'm working with the Framed Friends die by Paper Tray Ink. I'm going to cut a red one out of pure poppy cardstock and a white one. And on the white one, I'm going to place it as evenly as possible. Because I'm going to save the outer frame, and so I'm just going to line it up as evenly as I can, and then I'll take some washi tape and tape the die onto the paper to hold it still while I run it through my Copic machine. So I've gone ahead and run it through, and I will remove the washi tape very carefully. And this is what it looks like when you take it out. I'm going to save this outer frame, but I need to pop out the negative pieces from the friends portion. And I'm going to take the frame and I'm going to back it with another piece of white cardstock. I'm not going to adhere it down yet though. So I'll go ahead and pop out all of the pieces. And here's what it looks like when all the pieces are cut out. I've also cut a red one, and I want to just trim the frame off of the word. So I'm just going to very carefully cut around the word, cutting the frame away. Okay, so I have my card base, my frame, the friends in white, and then I have the friends in red. I'm going to attach that right over the top of the white. I don't really want any of the white to show. So here I've gone ahead and adhered the red piece on top, and that's going to fit right inside. I'm not going to attach anything yet though. The next step are these two flowers that I've cut from Tulip Time, so I'll show you how I stamped those really quick. This is the Tulip Time die, and I'm just using the two singles so I can kind of place them at an angle on the bottom of the card. Here's the Tulip Time stamps. They're so cute. And I'm going to start with the stems. On the one of the flowers, I'm going to do a little bit darker colors. I'm going to do Simply Chartreuse for the first step of the stem, and then I'll use Ripe Avocado for the second step of the stem, which kind of gives more detail and a shadowing effect on the stem. I love the two-step stamps. So here's the first step. It's the more solid stamp. That is in the lighter green. Now I'll do the second step, which is the more detail of the stem, and that's going to be in the darker color. Now for the top part of the tulip, I'm going to do the first step, which is the more solid stamp in Sweet Blush, excuse me. That's the lightest color. And then the second step is going to be in Melonberry. That adds a little bit more color. It's kind of a peachish orangish color. And then the third step is the final detail will be stamped in Pure Poppy. That's this little piece that goes on the bottom here. So I went ahead and finished the second flower. The only difference was I used a little bit lighter colors on the stem. I used Spring Moss as my base and Simply Chartreuse as the darker color on top. So these two flowers will be placed at an angle under the friends. But I decided the white portion of the card felt too boring, so I wanted to add something to the corners. I think I'll add some yellow tulips to the corners. So I have bright buttercup ink here, but I'm going to remove all of the pieces except the frame because I don't want any of the stamping to get onto the background piece there. So I'm going to remove that for 1 minute and stamp the corners with the bright buttercup. I'll do a couple up in this corner. and maybe a couple in the bottom right-hand corner. I love stamping a little bit off the edge sometimes just to give it a more random, organic feel. And then I think I'll add a couple little stems to the bright buttercup flowers. I'm just using the lighter green here, just to add a little bit more detail. Okay, so I'm going to adhere this to the back piece, and then I will go ahead and adhere my frame inside, just nestle it right inside, and then I'll place my flowers. Okay, before I place my flowers, I have one more thing I want to do just to jazz up the word here. So I have these are all my Copic markers that I have, and I think I'm going to use the lightest pink here, the R20, to shade under the friends word. So I'm using the pointy tip of the marker, and I'm going to imagine that the light is coming from the upper left corner. So I want to shade everything under the word, under and to the right. That is where the darker shading will be if the light is shining from the upper left corner. So just find all the underneath pieces and shade all of the pieces to the right of the word. And I think using a darker die cut like the red and then the lighter Copic underneath kind of gives it a cool effect with the lighter and darker shades of the same color. So if you were using like a tropical teal for the die cut and then you could use a lighter blue underneath, I think that would be pretty. Pick two colors that sort of go together. A darker green and a lighter green, a darker blue and a lighter blue. And the word die cuts from paper tray ink work really well for this technique. If you don't have words, you can use a snowflake and just shade under the snowflake. Butterflies, any sort of die cut will work for this technique. Next I'll be adding a little sentiment from Wonderful Words Friends stamps up at the top here above the friends. I felt like it was a little empty on the top, so I'm going to add So Glad We're in Melonberry ink. Okay, I went ahead and made sure everything was adhered down, and now I'm just adding some sequins for some sparkle. And that is it for my card. I'm going to add it to a card base, and I'm all set. Here's the finished card, and I hope you can see the shading with the Copic markers. It adds such a pretty detail to the die cuts. And I'll show you a few more cards that I've made with the same technique during recent releases. This top one is made with the paper clippings Thinking of You die, and I just used a gray Copic marker to shade under the die cut. This one is shaded with a darker gray, a blackish under the white embossing. This one is made with the Fancy Pants coloring pages by Paper Tray Ink, and I just shaded under the wording. And the last two were actually made with stamps. I didn't use my Copics on these, but if you don't have Copic markers, you can stamp your stamp in a lighter color and then stamp it again with a darker color over the top. And that way you can still play along if you don't have Copic markers. So I hope you have fun with it and give it a try. Thanks for watching. Bye.